I'm hopeful, regardless of the outcome. Boost the positive energy without one. Sorry about the jab, I'm on a holy field. I'm bearing fruit, but demons try to eat them like Yoshi meals. I piss them off the Batman like Falcone deals. Jungle full of predators, I know how Mowgli feels. So I got the fire, refuse to live in fear. I can spot suppliers, eating fresh shrubs. Call me private label, I be leaving breadcrumbs.
Alrighty. Well, this is a special episode of the Permaculture Pimpcast where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. The only Pimpcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, practical living, and now we're going to be talking about party time. So everybody that's in the chat right now, make sure you hit the thumbs up and tell everybody we're live because we got some really cool, exciting news tonight. I'm just going to go ahead and get the housekeeping out of the way as I always do. This episode brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from TwoOldCrowsHomestead.com.
Turn that simp into a pimp.
Bam! Heaven's Harvest, 10% off with promo code PERMA. Take all of your, look for all of your own preparedness needs. Anything you can't get, go check out the folks at Heaven's Harvest. You're going to be glad you did. Source everything you can, but what you can't, you get 10% off with promo code PERMA. And if you'd like to listen, for all of you folks that are listening in the audio realm, you can also listen to us on another app. It's called the Fountain app, where if you would like, you can drop a derivation of Bitcoin over there on a playa and drop some. I'll tell you what, they use a derivation of Bitcoin called SATs, SATs. So if you want to drop a SAT on a PIMP, go do it over there on the Fountain app because that's where we get down to. So also, before I forget, y'all, EMP Shield. $50 off with promo code PERMA. I'm a 27-year journeyman IBEW electrician. And I say it loud and I say it proud. Look, something jumps off. You don't have to go. You're not going to be worried about whether or not you're going to the club. You're going to be worried about how do I get to my bug out place or how do I get to the crib. You're also going to be wondering when things, if you have anything, your number one threat is by the way, a lightning strike. And if that happens, that lightning strike, and it comes in and Kentucky fries anything in your house, they're going to cover you for 25 G's. So find me another company out there that has anywhere in the ballpark of a deal like that. And finally, y'all, Redemption Shield. You know where I got my dogs right now? Honey, where are your bare feet right now?
On a grounding mat from Redemption Shield.
Bam. She ain't the best color commentator for nothing, y'all. That's what I'm talking about. We got them right here on this ground. Look, before we went live here, we were talking to Mike and Lacie a little bit about what was going on as far as the electronic stuff going on. Folks, I'm not kidding you. I am G'd up from the feet up on this mat, and I am grounded, especially around all this electronic equipment, not the least of which being this ball and sign I got right behind me. So once again, before I go to my guests here, I want everybody, tell everybody you know that this thing's going on, hit the thumbs up and holla if you hear me and make that chat scream. So with that said, I got Mike and Lacie from the Fit Farmer and also got, oh, look who decided to show up.
Just in the nick of time.
Yeah. You know what? A permaculture designer is never late, nor is he early. He arrives exactly when he intends to. Only a bunch of nerds would know what I'm even talking about there. But hey, everybody, we got some great news, great news of something we all put together, and we're going to give you a little bit of background on it. I know everybody in the chat almost certainly knows everybody that's on here, and I won't go into any great details unless they want to. But I'm going to kick it off first with Mike and Lacie. And I want to ask you guys, first of all, I want to thank you for being on the Pimpcast. And and by the way, for anybody coming in late, look, I'm not a pimp. It stands for Permaculture is my passion. It was a way to reach out to the kids back in the day to get them interested in permaculture. So yeah, it's a nice word now. I made it that way. So Mike and Lacie, we had a conversation a while back. We all met you over Tim and Sophie's house. And we had a great conversation. We had a great fellowship and found out we got so much in common, all of us. And we had a discussion that led to, and I'm going to throw it over to you.
Oh, wow. There we go. Well, thanks for having us on. Yeah. We're definitely excited about it. Yeah, I still remember it was just a wonderful evening that we all just shared together and we're all just sharing all the different things that we were sharing. And then come to find out, we all had been thinking about this for some time now. I think all of us had been to numerous events and conferences throughout the years. And there was all these little things that we thought of. Each one should have this or that, or we took away this or that from the different ones that were good. And we're like, we wanted to throw out what is bad. And then we're like, why don't we just come up with our own event together? And so we decided to do that. And we're doing that. And it's pretty exciting.
Right on. Go ahead, Lacie. I'm sorry.
Well, a big part of that is, we were having dinner together, and all the best conversations happen over dinner when you're breaking bread with one another. So that's what we thought. Our conference needs time for people to sit down and talk to one another over like really good food. And that was like the beginning of our event planning as well.
Yeah, it was. We just went through the list of naming the different things that we liked. We like having live music. We liked having real food that we're actually hands-on and participating and creating it together. And also the time to just fellowship. We also talked about campfires and sitting around the campfire and talking. We also talked about not nickel and diming people to death, that we wanted to treat everybody fairly. So it's neat as seeing all this coming together, and I can't wait to have this event and once it gets kicked off. I just love the word jamboree as well. It just kind of communicates the funness of all of it.
Yeah, just as long as you don't put Boy Scout in front of it. So,
no.
They're no longer like together anyway. So, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, this ain't gonna, there ain't gonna be no Mary Ann's on this Gillis Island. Hey, I just want to tell everybody in the chat, we're going to get to your questions here in a little while. I want to let y'all know the big stuff that's going on right now. So hold steady. We're going to get all the information you want to know, but we got to kind of give you the background and give you some indication and understanding as to why we decided to do something like this that frankly takes a lot out of you when you do it. So there had to be some really awesome reasons why we did it. So I'm going to turn it over to my man, Tim, at Call the Farms podcast.
Thanks so much, Billy. And it's just so great to be on. We've been to so many homesteading conferences and festivals, and we realized that a lot of them, you're just sitting and you're listening to speakers. And even though these guys and gals are subject matter experts, there really is not enough time to actually, collaborate, to ask the real questions. And we often find that unless you're paying the VIP tickets so that you can spend the extra precious few minutes with them, then you're really not getting the most out of these festivals. So we really wanted to create a festival or a conference. We call it a camp out because we want it to be as informal as possible so that you can be relaxed. You can be up and close with speakers and actually ask your questions. And we also acknowledge that the speakers may not know everything, and that all of us here who we're in our different journeys, in terms of homesteading journey, we're all at different stages, and we all have something that we can contribute. We all have our niches, whether it's in cattle or in chickens or even growing in our gardens. No one is perfect in everything. And so this is an opportunity for us to get all together, have some great food because we're all foodies, listen to some awesome music, and just have a relaxing time in front of the campfires. We'll even have s'mores as well.
Man, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Mike and Lacie, why don't you kind of talk about what our idea was? And folks, this is revolutionary concerning the whole VIP thing. And where, it's always been a thorn in my side ever since I was a kid trying to sneak into the arts festival in Oklahoma. You're told you can't go there, signs everywhere. There's signs. I can't go in there because I was broke as a joke back in those days. I mean, no hope, no soap, end of the rope kind of broke. And sneaking into this arts festival, they'd always bust us and everything. And they're like, well, this is for VIPs. Well, it left a nasty taste in my mouth, especially in these days where it always bugged me that we had these distinctions. And I won't go into any details, but I think everybody can read between the lines when there were people just a couple of years ago that were valuable and they were allowed to work or keep their businesses open. And then those of us that weren't in the patrician class that might find themselves as plebs out here were told, okay, you have these restrictions. Well, why don't you talk to us about the whole format concerning the VIP and how there isn't necessarily one here, or maybe we got a different structure for it?
one of the ways that we phrase it, and I really like it, it's kind of hitting me more and more as we've gone along, and that's everyone's a VIP at this event. And Lacie and I were having a discussion earlier and talked about, well, I also want to mention here that one of the things that is we're all extremely passionate about who are putting this together, Tim and Michelle and Billy, is we want to honor God with what we're doing. And earlier today, Lacie and I were talking, and she brought up the fact about we're not supposed to be partial. We're not supposed to be a people that show partiality. And for some of the events, or a lot of the events that they're VIPs, is catering to the people who have a little bit more money. We're treating them they're treated a little bit better at these conferences. And we're like, we don't want to be about that. We want to treat everybody fairly. Everyone's a VIP at this event, and everyone will have the opportunity to experience the same thing at the event.
And we've been there before. Like, you're barely scraping by, and you get a ticket, and you go, and then it's almost like there's another wall to get over just to be there and, get closer to the people that you really want to hear speak and talk to and get to know. So we wanted to make it a really level playing field for everybody.
Yeah. Now, some people may ask, well, why isn't the event free? Well, we do have to charge something. We do have to pay the bills. We do have to rent the place. We got to rent porta johns and all those things that a lot of people don't necessarily think about.
So, a worker is worth his wages too.
Exactly, so right.
We're working on this. Everybody that works deserves to get, paid
well,
too.
I mean, let's not also forget that we got legit chefs coming out here. I want Tim to cover this here in a minute. We got, folks, this isn't one of them things where you're going to have one of my biggest, and it was all of us. And it was funny. We were having that conversation around the dinner table right after eating that ballin' food over at Tim's house. And we're like, man, look, I'm not trying to run down any other conferences or whatever. I know everybody has their own way of doing it, but we all farm by and large to live a healthier lifestyle. I'm not trying to go to a farm conference and eat flipping hot dogs. And that's usually the kind of fare that you run into with a lot of this. So we also said, look, this ain't going to be some garden variety thing. So for the cost of your admission, folks, I guarantee you, find me another deal going on out there that's even in the ballpark with this, in terms of you're going to get full straight up butchery classes that aren't an add-on. They're not anything like that. We're going to be doing it. Look, from the time that sheep gives up the ghost until we put it in our belly, you're going to see it all. This isn't an extra add-on that we would charge you $500 for, or Mike over here doing the ducks, possibly chickens. I mean, y'all, we're going to be eating the food that we actually process out here. Tim, why don't you tell everybody a little bit more about that? Why this thing cannot be free? Because we got legitimate, straight up, unbelievable chefs that are going to be doing all this, y'all. This is legit.
Yeah, I am super excited. That's the one thing that we definitely all agreed upon, was that we need to have some really good food at this event. And why not teach how to harvest animals, and not just chickens, because you can do that at any festival. We're going to do ducks. We're going to do sheep. In fact, Billy and I, we're going to be doing some sheep about a week or two beforehand, so that it will be ready to go on that very first night. And the chefs are going to prepare it. They're actually going to have a barbecue, a roast that very first night. They're going to be slicing it off. So if you've ever been to any of those, what are those called? Those all-you-can-eat places where they're slicing
the
it
fancy
off?
Brazilian places, yeah.
Brazilian steakhouses. Yeah, it's going to be exactly like that. So we wanted to have an experience where we included dinners, because we want y'all to stay, okay? We're also going to have food trucks, not just one food truck, okay? So it's not just going to be one long line. There's going to be a good variety of food trucks. Billy, you've got the connections there. There's going to be some legit food trucks from Asheville, okay? And I know unfortunately, Sophie can't be here. She made that really awesome pho, but we wanted to have farm to table food, okay? We want food that families, you can feel guilt-free about feeding to your children, okay? This is a family event, okay? We wanted to emphasize that. On the second evening, we told the chefs, just go creative, just go all out, make whatever you want on there. There's going to be ramen. I believe there's Peruvian chicken from the chickens that Mike's going to help harvest. We're also going to supplement with that too, but everything is going to be farm to table. I just wanted to emphasize that. And the dinners are included. So that's why that along with the harvesting classes more than justifies the price of the admission.
Before I go back to Mike and Lacie, Tim, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody also the other little caveat, because look, we're going to have campfires. It's going to be the whole 9 yards. There is camping out there. Do you want to go into some of those details for those? Because that's also included. Why don't you go ahead and tell them about that?
Yeah, we don't want you to rush from, we're going to spend all day, all night together. Okay, we're going to have this awesome meal. We're going to have a campfire right afterwards where you can actually legitimately ask those questions, because sometimes when you're at these conferences and you're like any Q&A, maybe at that moment you don't have that question, but then once you go back home, when you're relaxed, you have those real questions. Well, we're going to be around a campfire. This is going to create this environment where you can build community, not only with the speakers, but also with one another. We can break bread with one another. We're going to be able to form relationships, just strong bonds, because it's all about building community. And that's something that we are all actually all of our subscribers have been asking us, how do you build community? And so that's why we wanted to emphasize this at this event.
Speaking of this event, I'll tell you, I'm going to jump in here and just throw in a little bit of something that I am uber, super, unbelievably excited about besides the food, because Mike and Lacie knew a guy who isn't just any guy. I mean, this guy is like something else when it comes to coming up with a menu. So folks, we're going to let you know what that is in complete. I'm sure it'll change depending on availability and certain things, but you're not only going to just see those animals processed, you're going to see them on the plate. But I'll tell you what really, really, what I love about this whole event is that it's at a real life working farm. It's not at an antiseptic. There's nothing wrong with those places, but it's not some antiseptic farm building where everybody's just under a roof. And this is a legitimate blueberry orchard. Mike, Lacie, why don't you describe everybody what this thing looks like? And there's people asking where it is. By the way, it's going to be in Fletcher, North Carolina at Cloud9 Farm. And my friend owns this place. It's been in there. I think she's second generation.
Is it second? I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a few generations.
Why don't you tell everybody about the location and what you find appealing about it?
Yeah, one of the things that I like about it, I've been to conferences where they're like in sterile, business-like environments, and that's not necessarily conducive to the vibe of homesteading. And you think the word homestead, you think home, you think family, you think connection, you think community. This environment is perfect for that. We're sitting by a fire on a farm where we can just sit there and chat and fellowship, and people have access to us. We're not going to run and hide after we're done presenting or whatever. People will be able to access us throughout the days there. And I also want to mention that people were asking about where it's going to be at. When will be August 29th through August 31st. So definitely looking forward to experiencing that with everyone and being shoulder to shoulder with everyone. One of the events that I had the opportunity to be at was one with Joel South, and it was a smaller event, and people just got to sit and hang out with Joel. It wasn't just he talked and then he was gone. No, he did his talk and then he just hung out with people. I'm like, that's so cool to be able to just sit and chat and just have real conversations. That's what we're all going to be there willing to do with everybody there. So pretty pumped about that.
And the Cloud9 Farms, it's like in the mountains of North Carolina, which is one of my favorite places. I grew up going to the mountains. I'm a mountain girl. But it's so beautiful. There's a pond. There's a creek that runs straight down through it. You're right in the mountains. All the greenest grass. It's so pretty. There's hiking trails all through the property. It's really just a beautiful, picturesque place to have an event.
Yeah. Totally.
Hey, Billy, I forgot.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
I didn't even answer your question beforehand. I was just like a politician. I totally just talked about the camp out. I was just thinking about you asked about the tents. Yeah. Let me talk about the lodging real quick. Okay.
I was coming back around to it, bro.
Yeah. Okay. This is live, y'all. Okay. So there are, I think, about 39 tent sites left. So you can bring your own tent. You can camp beneath the stars in the blueberry orchard. Okay, we're going to have porta johns there. There's no showering. You may have to bring what we call in the Army like Ranger wipes. Okay, but we're going to be able to just have this community where we can continue the conversations and not have to hurry off afterwards. Okay. Now, if you don't want to be all rugged and just, staying in those tents, I've also worked out a deal with a couple of the hotels nearby, and that's near the Asheville airport, okay, with the Holiday Inn and Suites, and just tonight also with the Wingate as well. So I'm going to post those up on the website as soon as we have the coupon code. So I believe the Wingate's like $100 and the Holiday Inn's like $130.
Wow, that's dirt cheap in Asheville.
Especially
yes, I know, dirt cheap it is for Asheville. I have already called up the different RV parks because that was a question that we got. So if y'all have any questions, you go on the website and you type in those questions, I'll respond right away, okay? And a lot of those questions were like, what about RV parks? I tried to work a deal with RV parks, but they said that's when they actually jack up the rates during the Labor Day week, as they told me to go take a hike. There's only one nearby. If you have to bring an RV, you can call them up. But there may be a cabin or two left at Cloud9. Now, Janet has a bunch of cabins. Now, they may already all be rented out. So hurry up and notify her, give her a call to see if she can fit you in, okay?
Now, Lacie and Mike, this is a lot different in terms of we have an upper limit of how many people we can actually have here. So for anybody that's thinking you might wait and catch it later, y'all, there are only 300 tickets. We got the early bird going on right now. In fact, there's only a handful of those tickets even left. So even at the full price, it is a bargain and a half. So, in terms of where was I even going with this, man?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know either.
There's only 300 tickets total.
Yeah.
There's only going to be it's going to be a small gathering. It's going to be very intimate with
right.
We're keeping the numbers small.
That's where I wanted to get to. Mike, Lacie, why shouldn't people, even though look, I'm not doing a hard sale, this thing will sell itself. But why don't you tell them the beauty and the intimacy in terms of only having 300 people available? I mean, what will that open up? Because when you go to a festival where there's 1,000 or more, you just don't have opportunities to talk to any of the experts. So, how cool is that going to be?
I totally think that'll be cool. I've had the opportunity to be at events where there's 5,000 plus people there, and it's intimidating, and it's really hard to really have those conversations because there's just so many people there. And then I have been to smaller events where there's like 200, 300 like we're having, and it really is. It provides an opportunity and environment to foster community relationships and make those connections so much easier. It's not super small where it's like, oh, this is nobody's here. Is it, or are they going to keep having this thing? But I think 300 is like the perfect amount for being able to do that and to make those connections.
Well, and on the presenter side of it, I go to conferences and I want to talk to everybody. People, they come because, we've told them about this awesome conference, and I want to be able to stand around and talk to people. But whenever there's so many people, thousands of people, like I can't physically talk to everyone. And I feel like at a smaller event, you get to know people better. And I think all of us that are putting this together, that's what we want. We want to be able to talk to people and really, grow that community. The word community is thrown around a lot in the homesteading area, but if you just go and you hear speakers, and that's great, but in between you're running to and fro, and you don't really get to make those connections. And that's what we wanted to do with having the food there. People can, even if you don't want to talk to me or Mike as a presenter, but you meet someone that you can really grow a relationship with and share knowledge between each other. That's what it's all about. And keeping it small and tight really allows that to happen.
And I personally feel it's a blessing from God to be able to have the different speaking opportunities that I have. And I feel with that, it's my duty to also make sure that fans, people who know about us through YouTube, that we connect with them at the event. It's just not me giving my presentation and I'm hitting the road.
Yeah.
No, I'm there and I want to be there to answer whatever questions you have, shake your hand, give you a hug, kiss the baby if you let me. I want to be there to make those connections.
You know, it's always been my motto when I go to these things, where I've always said I'm the first in and last out, because if anybody came all this way, and it floors me how many people, one guy I got to know really well, his name is William Zegley. Man, he was coming all the way from the Pacific Northwest to go to a conference. And so when somebody makes that effort, I don't care if it's across town or across the country, it took something out of them to get there. It required some degree of sacrifice for them to even get there. And then when it's so doggone crowded so many times, or there's just way too many people, and you just feel like you just shortchange these people no matter what. But let me kind of drift on over and segue into the ladies, because the guys kind of have the ladies outnumbered here tonight. So I want to hit up the homestead honey, and that's AKA Michelle, and Mike's homestead honey, Lacie. You know, I want to make it clear that for all the ladies out there, because it's amazing how many of these things I go to where ladies go there kind of stag. I mean, I couldn't believe how many ladies go there all by themselves, couldn't get the husband to come along, couldn't do anything else as far as getting anybody to go with them. And I've seen some travel some pretty large distances just to go to something like this. Now, Sophie's not able to be with us here tonight, but she is in the chat, y'all, and she's answering a lot of your questions. So thumbs up, Sophie.
Yeah, thank you, Sophie.
But maybe both of you could hit on this, in that maybe make the ladies out there who are thinking, it seems like a little bit too much testosterone here. Is there going to be anything here for the ladies? Lacie, why don't you take it away there for a second?
Well, I think so. And you know what? Homestead ladies are tough ladies. And, you know, I want to be able to know how to butcher stuff too. You know, I've butchered my own chickens before. I've done every step of the process. There's some steps that I don't want to be involved with. But knowing how to do it is something that it's priceless, really. If you need to know how to do it and gonna have to do it yourself, it's good information to have. And even if you are married, you know, things happen, accidents happen. You never know when you may have to step up into that role. But I don't think we don't want this to be an all man's thing. Like, forget that. Like, I want all the ladies to come and hang out too, and us have a good time and talk about, you know, different things on the homestead, like how we make our homestead work. Those are some of the things that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'll tell you a conversation you ain't ever going to hear her say is, man, you really made a good shot on that when you shot that, whatever it was. She's never going to say that in the history of her life. And in fact, you know, you may have people like her where she, just like you, Lacie, doesn't necessarily dig the whole process. Whereas me, on the other end, I like the killing because I know it's fulfilling. And in her end, she's never going to have that conversation. So, honey, are you gonna step out of your shell a little bit and at this event and
process a sheep? Probably not.
No, she's not gonna process the sheep. But I'll tell you what she is going to do. She's going to be there just like standing like with Lacie and with Sophie and all the rest of us, standing tall, looking good, all the marching Hollywood kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah, we're also going to be doing a thrift homesteading class. So that's going to be put on by Lacie, Sophie, and I. And also there's going to be a foraging class and an apothecary class. So there's a couple. If you're not interested in the processing, that's completely understandable. There will be alternatives to just processing.
Tim, to that point, what are the alternatives? Because I think it was you that came up with the idea that maybe give them a little bit of a layout and show that there are going to be options, that if you're not feeling this type of thing, we got something else for you, because you don't have to go there and participate in any of this. But folks, here's what I'm excited before I throw it over to Tim. So Tim, remember this question this time, all right? Because I'm not No, I'm kidding. Here's what I'll tell you. One thing I'm really, really excited about, because I don't ever get to do this at any festival. And I never, ever get to dispatch the animal at the festival process it entirely at the festival, cut it up into primal cuts at the festival, and teaching folks at the same time. Let me tell you what else I don't get to do. We're experts here at this farm at doing compost. And every compost class I've ever done has always been through this medium that you see right now. Folks, for the first time ever, you're going to see it three-dimensionally. Put your hands on it, see all the materials we use, and we're going to show you this compost pile in varying stages of how it breaks down. So it's not just look, all I can do on the YouTube channel is show you the process, but you don't know what it smells like. You don't know what it feels like. You don't know what the moisture content should be. You don't know what the numbers should be in your thermometer. And by the time you walk away from this festival, y'all, here's what I'm so doggone excited about. Number one, if you take notes or you took your video camera, whatever the case may be, there is no reason you should not be able to walk out of here and know how to dispatch any four-legged critter, and at the same time, know how to go home, get your materials, all the stuff you need, because you're going to see it right there, and then replicate a real deal compost pile at this time in America where everything seems like it's on a knife's edge. But folks, this isn't about fear. It's about getting us all there congregated in the same place, like-minded people, maybe even commiserating to a certain extent, but walking away an empowered person and walking away also with a lot more skills that you didn't know that you ought to know. So you're going to get all that. Sorry about the monologue, but Tim, do you remember the question?
Something about the schedule. Yeah. No, I wanted to touch on about the women real quick, is that we've also been talking about having a women's retreat next year. So that's something to keep in mind, and to just, start talking to the ladies when you're out there as well. Now, what you were just talking about, Billy, I want to just emphasize the fact that this is not just like some butchering event, okay? We are honoring the animal. We are wanting to promote the fact that we want to be good stewards of the land, and we're putting that in real time, okay? So this festival, conference, whatever you want to call it, our jamboree is hands-on. Now, you don't have to feel pressure to do it, okay? Because I've built in other classes as well. So I'm answering your question now, Billy. So if you don't want to be hands-on, we're going to be recording the harvest, okay? So if you want to go back and reference it later on, so you go back home, you want to harvest your own and dispatch your own chickens, ducks, or sheep, and you want to remember where was it, you're going to have access to recordings. We're not going to upsell it. It's all part of admission, okay? Now, say you have little kids that you don't want, that they don't choose to be a part of the harvesting, okay? Now, that's totally up to them. Now, my children, they've chosen to participate in the sheep harvesting as well as with chickens, okay? But that's okay. If your kids don't want to participate in that, I've made it so that you can go online at homesteadersunited.com. Now, the schedule's still in flux here, but we have children classes going on, and I've had it overlap with the harvesting classes as well. So we've got beekeeping for kids. We also have soap making 101, soap making basics for children, okay? So we have those classes going on at the same time. So just in case you just want to have some other varieties, some other options, we've built in those classes. Now, for Friday, we also have, I know prepping and like being more self-sustainable, that's going to be a really hot topic this year going into the election season, okay? Now, we have a rain catchment class that we're going to be hosting. We may have a knife sharpening class that we're still in talks about, okay? We have a foraging class and taking those plants and identifying them. They're common plants that you can identify, and how to make your own family apothecary. You don't want to miss out on that as well. And we also have, Sophie's going to be doing a ramen bone making class, okay?
Yeah, boy, okay? That's what I'm talking about.
You're definitely not going to miss out on, okay? And feel free to ask any questions that you have with the chefs as well. I believe we have 3 to 5 chefs, and they're going to be preparing the food right there in front of you. So it's going to be an experience unlike any other.
Man, that's what I'm talking about. Man, there's so much love in this chat, man. And I am so thankful there's no bots out there that are throwing. Oh, okay, I said all that and I might just jinx this. Hey, for anybody that's just coming in right now, if you would, hit that thumbs up. It tells whatever an algorithm is that we're live and we're doing this thing. And it tells other people to, hey, get loose or get lost. Meaning they ought to be tuning in right now to see what we're doing. Man, I'll tell you what, Mike, you're also going to be doing a class And I think it's really the gateway drug to butchery in so many different ways. And that's either ducks or chickens, because it's the most easily accessible for anybody, whether you live in, let's say you live in, a neighborhood. Well, you might be able to have a few chickens. And by the way, folks, if you live in an HOA and they tell you can't have chickens, tell the people at the HOA those chickens identify as dogs. So, yeah, you'll get away with it then. Look, if I can pretend to be a trans-chesticle polar bear and people got to respect that, yeah, you can tell them your chickens identify as service animals or something else out there. So, Mike, we're all going to be working together on a lot of these classes. When I'm able, I'm going to be helping out Mike. I'm going to be helping out Tim. Tim's going to help out me. Mike's going to help out me. Why don't you tell them what this processing class looks like? Because that is really where everybody ought to wet their beak if you don't do anything else in terms of animal processing.
You can watch all the YouTube videos that you want on butchering and processing an animal, but it's not till you get in there and do it hands-on that you really, really learn. And learn from people who have been doing it for a while. I've tried it on my own, and it wasn't the best. You were with me.
We watched all those videos to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah, I still remember that, thinking, man, am I going to be able to do this? And I'm like, all right, let's give it a shot. But anyways, I've also had the opportunity to be shoulder to shoulder with people like Joel Salatin, Daniel Salatin, and others processing chickens to see how those who have been doing it for years do it. And I hope to be able to share that through what we're doing, through the hands-on experience, the first day of our event. The plan is to be processing some chickens and ducks to give people that hands-on experience, shoulder to shoulder with us, learning how to do it, walking through it together, and being able to ask questions and see it done right there together. So to me, just that in itself, that first day of being able to butcher with us, being able to butcher with you and Tim, to me, just that's worth the price of the ticket.
No, it's worth. I did the math on it. I mean, if you look at the going rate, just for the compost class, the chicken or duck processing class, whatever it turns out to be, and the sheep class alone, if you were to buy all those things a la carte, y'all, you're looking at probably close to $1,500 in terms of I'm talking, you are going to get top-notch training, and you're not even going to come anywhere close. This is why, y'all. Look, we had some methods to be able to make this thing affordable. Part of it is that we're bringing our own expertise and local people to the table. We don't have to spend a pile of money. We wish we could, but we just don't have deep pockets, not that deep. Not if we're going to feed everybody dinner, not if we're going to be able to have this site, not if we're going to have the camping, not if we're going to bring in the chefs, and then better still, one of the ballest food trucks out there, Creaky Treat Cafe. Me and Mike were talking about it. He was saying to me, man, you got to try this, you got to try this food truck. You're not going to believe it. And I was telling him, I was like, dude, I know one that's going to knock your socks off. We go out to Mountain Readiness. Turns out we're talking about the same doggone truck. And he's going to be there. So, so this is really, really cool. Tim, what else are we going to have in terms of, as far as the proximity to Asheville, if somebody doesn't want to camp out, you don't have to. We're in a stone's throw from really Asheville. Everything's so doggone close, it'll make your head spin. But in addition, what am I leaving out in terms of, we got food trucks. We're going to have coffee, some kind of pastry out there. We got local chefs that are going to be doing that as well from some of the local places. What am I missing here? Because there is not another cherry you can put on the top of this sundae as far as I'm concerned.
That's a great question, Billy, and you guys are making me hungry because I want to try that food truck as well. And to all y'all, we're actually going to try to do a surprise and try to bring in an ice cream food truck as well at nighttime. Oh, yeah. So hey, we're trying to think of everything. And if you keep checking on our website, I'm like updating it, and we're trying to like just make it even better and add as much value as possible. Trying to pack that all in. So as I mentioned, there are a couple of hotel options. There's so many hotels that you can go to. There are so many great places that you can also eat at in Asheville, but why would you want to? You can just stay where you're at and just hang out with us, which is why we also built in Saturday as well. If you can join us for praise and worship, but that day is open. It's free. It's open. And if you choose to camp, you can stay till Sunday. So I wanted to add that to you, just to let you know that you can stay till Sunday, explore Asheville, because our main event is on Thursday and Friday, but you'll get so much more time with us on Saturday as well, because it's more, essentially a free day. But we would love to welcome you to praise and worship with us.
Yeah, that's another cool thing that, folks, we're not going to shy away from that. I make no bones about the fact that I'm a blood-bought soldier of Christ. And, all of us here are. So if you're expecting a secular gathering, maybe this thing ain't for you. So, or maybe it is. Maybe you'll cut out here and we'll chase the demons out of you. So,
oh my God. I love those, like fortune cookies. Like,
hey, you never know what might happen in something like this. The cool thing is I'm going to be sticking around, y'all. I mean, I was like Mike was, and Lacie was actually saying a little while ago, is that, I used to be that one that would say, remember the first ever Mother Earth News Fair that they ever had?
Yeah.
And the way we went there, because we were broke as a joke at the time, trying to get ourselves off the ground. We had to spend half the day as volunteers just to even get in there for the second half of the day. And that was what I was willing to do to get this information. And we just didn't have the money. But look, y'all, you find me another place for the price that we're having this thing for, where you can camp and get some of your meals. I'm talking some major meals included, and they ain't hot dogs. So, look, I mean, we got some really, really awesome stuff that's going to be kicking out here. Folks, if you have any questions in the chat, go ahead and leave them down below. Tim, one more time, and then we'll go into questions. And Mike and Lacie, if y'all want to jump in anytime, feel free to do that. But Tim, one more time, because some folks are probably tuning in right now, judging by the size of the chat and how it's growing it. And almost certainly a number of people are going to see this later. Why don't you give them the date and the details of where this thing's located?
All right, thanks, Billy. So it's going to be from August 29th through the 31st. So that's going into Labor Day weekend of this year. It's going to be at the Blueberry Farm. It's at if you Google Cloud9 Relaxation, or better yet, just go to homesteadersunited.com. You'll find all the information there. If you buy now, we only have 15 tickets left for the early bird prices. Saves you $100, okay? Because after that, I'm sorry, it's going up $100 more. And we're locked in at 300 total. That includes the kids, y'all, okay? So there really isn't that much wiggle room there. But our focus, our goal was to make it an intimate event where you can actually get to know one another. You're going to be able to ask those questions and just be relaxed. I mean, I don't know about y'all. I'm more introverted, okay? And so this is going to be more of my speed right here. It's going to have a lot of great food. So I'm just trying to sum up everything here. It's going to have workshops, intensive workshops where you can actually get involved in, okay? I'm going to have EMT on standby. Not that we're going to do anything dangerous, but I'm thinking of everything here, okay? So 2 days, action-packed, family-oriented, okay? You don't have to have a family, but I'm saying, like, if you got children, bring them with you, okay? This is going to be an event that they actually want to come to as well, okay? You're not dragging them to it. You can make it a combination of your vacation as well. It's in beautiful Asheville area, okay? So explore the area as well. Our team is working nonstop. We're meeting weekly. We're communicating every single day. We're finding coupon codes for y'all if you want to book hotel rooms, okay? If you have any other suggestions, feel free to reach out to us on our website. I'll respond to you within the hour, okay? And I push it out to all of us. And we collectively want to make this as best of an event as possible, because we're just going to build from it, okay? And as I mentioned, we're thinking about having a women's retreat next year. We're doing other events as well. But our goal is not to make it as big and as huge of an event as possible where you just get lost in the mix, okay? We want everyone to be an active participant in this conference, okay? You guys can be the star. You guys can share your experiences. We can learn from you, because as I mentioned much earlier in this program, is that we're not perfect at everything, okay? We all have our strengths in certain fields, and we would love to learn and just glean from each other's experiences so that we can make our homesteads that much better, because our goal is to promote this event, but to equip everyone, as many people as possible, so that they can homestead. You don't have to have hundreds of acres. Okay, being the homesteading realtor, you don't have to have all this acreage. You can just work off of 1 acre if you want. The goal is just to feed your loved ones, okay, and just equip yourselves with as much knowledge as possible, but not only that, but applying it as well. So here you can ask those, quote unquote, dumb questions, because we've all been there before, and you can feel relaxed. You can feel like it's a safe place where you can ask these questions. Okay. It's for beginners. It's for advanced as well, because we're not just having beginner classes for those who are like, oh, I don't want to go here. There's nothing that I can learn. No, even if you're advanced, you've been homesteading for a few years, check us out. Okay. I call it the homesteading 2.0 classes. Okay. Because there's something that you can learn from. Okay. And more importantly, our main goal is to build community.
You got that right. I got this comment on the screen, and I'm going to direct a variation of it to Mike and Lacie. But before that, Lacie also pointed out before a couple of our meetings ago that Tim was describing that at the same time this is going on, y'all, if you want to roll on down to Hendersonville, which is right there, there's an apple festival going on at exactly the same doggone weekend. So you can come over here, and then you're not going to be there to get my favorite apple, which is an Evercrisp. That's not going to be ready. So sorry for your bad luck, but check it out. They got organic apple orchards over there, which are nearly impossible to find unless you're going to Permapastures Farm. So that's also so many other things you can bundle on top of this. But now I'm going to, right here, Sprinkle with Soil, put in there, build a life that you don't need a vacation from. Now, we do this full time. Mike and Lacie, they do this full time. Tim and Sophie, they do this full time, folks. You want to know what one of the biggest, and I want you guys to kind of speak to this. I don't necessarily feel like I ever have to go on vacation because I do what I love every single day. Everybody's always asking, well, how do I get to do this? Well, look, y'all, you're going to have the opportunity when you have your specific questions regarding business, regarding how you make that transition from a life of maybe doing a 9-to-5 where they pay you enough to keep you from quitting and you do enough to keep from getting fired. And you may find yourself in that position and you may be looking to jump ship. And you're going to have some people out there that have successfully done it. And it took work, but there's also, like I said, this isn't necessarily a class, but it can be for all of you folks out there. So I want to direct that over to Mike and Lacie. Are you going to be able, this is a rhetorical question because I clearly know the answer to it, but I want you to kind of speak to the fact that you guys didn't start out, you didn't come out of the womb doing this. You had to make a lot of transitions. What did that look like? And are you going to be able to help guide some of the folks that are looking to do the same?
Oh, yeah. I totally did not grow up with a farming background at all. I was a city boy all through. Definitely enjoyed the city life at that time, and then got to the point where I hated it when I felt like I was called to farm and lived this lifestyle a number of years ago. And I was able to leave my 9-to-5, as you will, a number of years ago to be able to have a home-based business here together with my family. So we work together, we share life together, and we get to have fun and play together as well. It's been one of my aspirations for a number of years now, and so thankful and blessed to be able to do that. And I'd love to be able to share that with people as we talk, and hopefully help to do that. I do also want to mention that we talked about the number was 300 max is what we got. Well, we're down to close to 250 or so now. So people better hop on those tickets before they go. That's really not a lot, and they could go pretty quickly. So just want to mention that as well.
And us, I grew up actually beside my grandparents that were homesteading. I always had a big garden, and we canned and we did all of that stuff. And when I met him, he definitely was not there. He told me he wanted to live in the city, and I told him I could do that for a little while, but eventually I wanted to live out there with no neighbors to looking in your windows.
Yeah.
But we have come to this through really bootstrapping it ourselves. I mean, we had some very, very lean times, and Billy, y'all have too. And like, that's where I think, doing the class on thrifting, how to be thrifty on your homestead, how to just keep pushing yourself and doing what you have to with what you have and where you are, and teaching people a little bit more of that, because I don't think everyone has had to push themselves that hard.
Right.
Yeah.
And until you have to, you may not even know what to do, but you always want to have that in the back of your mind. Well, I could do this, making do with what I have.
Mhm.
Yeah. I also want to mention that as I was going through the phase of trying to figure all this out, it was events similar to this that enabled me to be able to do this. That may sound crazy, but going to these events was an investment in me learning the skills, learning the mindset, all of it intertwined in one to be able to do what we're doing today. Like going to an event where I was learning how to market garden, which was one of the main things that got me out of the 9 to 5. I was able to create income from a market garden here based on the principles that I learned from somebody who had been doing it years. He saved me years of trying to trial and error of figuring out what to grow, when to grow, how to maximize it, how to approach customers. He saved me years in just one event, helping to learn all that information. So coming to events like this, these guys, we hope will be able to save you a lot of time and money and helping to equip you to better serve your goals and the things that you're striving for.
Well, and another aspect of that is when you get around like-minded people, it gives you a charge. Because really, on the homestead, sometimes things are dying and everything is going sideways, and you really feel like giving up. But when you're around other people that have had similar things happen to them and they got through it and they show you that you can get through it, it's really a boost for your whole morale. And I think that right there is sometimes even more important than the knowledge side of it.
And that also, I think 2020 hopefully showed all of us that we need one another. We've talked about community multiple times throughout the stream here, and that's what it's about. Being able to be a community of people coming together to encourage one another, to uplift one another, and do all the things that we need to do. We're not to be just living off alone, all to ourselves, where we're not helping anybody, and vice versa, we're not being helped. We need to come together as a community to strengthen one another.
You know, I also want to add that on the heels of what you said there, Mike, we were talking a little while ago that, you know, when you're doing, everybody can relate to what I'm about to say, that when you do a 9-to-5 job, and I want to credit Josh Tolley for making me aware of this. Think about it. You go away, you get up. The best part of what you have to offer for that day is probably going to be, you know, after you wake up, you go there, give away all of your premium quality to strangers by and large, and then your family gets what's left at the end of the day. So when you make that transition, where like I was, I mean, there were times where I wouldn't see her 7 months at a time. And that tears, I mean, there's ball games I'm missing out on because I thought I was getting that American dream, which turned out to really be a nightmare. And all these things where you know the price of everything and the value of nothing. And then you look back later on and say, well, good night, man. How well do I really know my family? Folks, that's why all of us are congregated right now to do this event, to put this on, to make it as best as we can, and to be there, not just like Mike said a little while ago, where you stand up there, you do your speech, and then you run off back to your booth. That's not going to happen here, y'all. We're all accessible, and we're all there to tell you, okay, like Lacie said, okay, here's a good one. And I'm going to throw this one over to the Homestead Honey. You'll almost certainly be, how do you put up with that dude all day long?
No.
You're going to get that question. Like, is he so debonair in real life? I mean,
setting you up.
No, but Lacie did. I can't remember what Lacie said, but it did bring up a point that some of the best conversations and some of the best friends that I have are ones that I've met through these festivals. I mean, the friendships that you make, the women that come up to me and talk to me are the best conversations that I have. Like I'm an introvert, so it's always a struggle for me to go to these things, but I always am very thankful that I did every
time,
because the conversations that I have with a lot of the women, I mean, it makes it all worth it. And I could stand there and talk to them for days, and it's like you never have enough time to talk to them.
Tim, have you ever noticed that when you go to these things, that the introduction, folks, for all of you introverts out there, and I know there's a whole lot of them, I mean, I'm going to say that when you go to an event like this, here's what you're going to discover right off the bat, and tell me if I'm wrong, that and it's going to be even easier at an event like this, is that you're already congregated at this place because you share the common interest of this right off. So even if you're the most introverted person, y'all, go up. I don't care how introverted you are. Go up to a total stranger at one of these events and say, so what do you do? What kind of farming do you do? And I guarantee if that other person is an introvert, before you know it, you will be having a fruitful conversation. Does it work out that way when you go to these things?
That's a great question, Billy. I mean, I know when Sophia and we got into it, we wanted to ramp up as quickly as possible. So we went to Polyface Farms. We took those workshops. We went to all these other conferences where we had to pay the VIP tickets, and then just to sit in there and try to ask a question and not sound like we're creepy stalkerish, like we've been watching these people and like, no, this event is for introverts, okay? So I want to feel comfortable, and all y'all who are introverts are going to feel comfortable because we purposefully made it a smaller event. We're going to have people are going to talk over good food and music, and we're just creating this environment, okay, so that you can ask these questions. And so I truly believe that there's not going to be this distance away where we have a speaker and then you just ask a few questions and that's it, or we just have a panel. We will have some of that stuff, but there's so much more downtime. And we wanted to be intentional about this. We're not jam packing the schedule so that there's a whole bunch of workshops to make it look like, look, I provided so much value. You're paying this much money, and we've given you more is not always good. Okay, we wanted to give you quality workshops. We also wanted to give vendors and sponsors a chance to highlight and showcase what the supplies, the products, the services that they provide. And we're not just accepting any vendor or sponsor. These are going to be companies that we actually would back and that we would actually support, that we would actually buy from, okay? And we wanted them to have enough time as well. There's 2 full days there that they're going to be selling, and we want people to have, those who are participating, to have that downtime to not only shop, but also have these conversations, okay? Because as an introvert, you're not going to just feel like, sprinkle with soil. She pushes me, okay? She's like, honey, go talk to that person. You're going to love that person. Been following this person, okay? No, it's like, I have to warm up a little bit, okay? You're going to have that opportunity to warm up. We're there all day, okay? And you'll be able to ask these questions.
Yeah. Tim, also, good night, man. I mean, I'm going in so many different directions. I'm gonna kick it up.
I want to ask one more. Can we add one more thing? Okay. Yeah. Let me add one more thing. Okay. Yeah, for y'all who know what I'm talking about, they say that when you get married, you never get to enjoy the meal. Now you can ask Sophie. I said, no, this time when we get married, we're only getting married once. I'm going to enjoy the meal. And so I'm applying the same rule with the event. I'm not going to be hustling and just putting out fires, okay? I'm going to actually have a great time at this event. We're all going to have a great time. Even though we're organizing it, we're going to spend time with all y'all who show up to this event, and we're going to spend intentional time and actually have dialogue, because this is why we're putting this event on. We want to get to know you all.
That's right. Mike and Lacie, we got a question here from JS Genesis Designs. Are you going to have a Bible study?
Yes, we are. We're planning to have a worship service. I'll have the message on that Saturday. So definitely looking forward to that, and then have been meditating on the message and praying about it. So I hope you all pray about that too. So I can deliver what everybody needs.
Folks, if you haven't sat through any of Mike's classes, I had the great benefit of being able to do it out at Mountain Readiness, and he's quite the presenter, y'all. I mean, he's not going to just stand up there and, be monotone or whatever else. I mean, he gets your attention and he keeps it, and he's a superb instructor. And I was getting a few tips myself from watching him. So yeah, it was a real joy to see. So
appreciate that, Billy.
Oh, it's all true, bro. If there's that, let's see here. If we got any more questions in the chat.
I think Sophie's answering them all.
Okay, Sophie's in the chat right now, y'all. She can't be here right now.
Good job.
She can't be here right now, but I mean, she's in the chat because she's just awesome. Yeah. She's getting all that good stuff done. So it looks like we have some really good buzz out there. Look, There's going to be some people out there that obviously can't make it. Maybe it's too far, or maybe it's just a financial hardship that you can't work out right now. Look, we totally get it, but you may know somebody that can, and it might be a great blessing to them, or it might be what Michelle and I did. Instead of sending our son to college, even though he had a full ride academic scholarship, we sent him to Australia to go learn under Jeff Lawton. So what you might do, what Michelle and I would do, because we ain't the Rockefellers, when we needed training, we would send one of us from the family to go get that training and then bring it back and then cross-train the rest of us. That was the only way we could afford to get any of this highfalutin training that we ended up getting, because we all can't go. Somebody's got to look after things. So I'm going to say that to a lot of you folks out there right now. You may not be able to go. You might be thinking, oh, shoot, man, I really want to know how to do chickens. I really want to do this. I can't go because I'm infirmed, or whatever the case, I got to work, whatever the case, send an emissary. That's how we did it. That's how our son was able to retire at 24. Yeah. When I say retire, I mean got out of the workforce and started working for himself, y'all. So you're going to see it and hear it and see it done all from people that are actually doing it right now, not people that are doing this theoretically, the people that live the life. We just happen to have YouTube channels as well, because we're also educators. And because we are natural educators, we're going to be extending that all the way up and down. We got a message over here from, I thought she was sending me a message. Okay, folks, there's so much on here we haven't even told you about. Tim has even worked out some entertainment. I mean, in terms of, look, we're not going to have any creepy clowns or anything like that.
I'm scared of clowns.
No. We ain't going to have any clowns or any, there's a lot of weirdos around. We're not going to have any clowns at all, but we are going to have some entertainers out there, right, Tim?
Yeah, that's right. We're in the middle of booking some bluegrass stuff, and we're not going to get these like big name bands. Okay, we want people who just love what they do, and we're going to definitely have some lively music. So it's not going to be your standard conference.
Well, but okay, with that, we're going to bring this here to a close. Let me just kind of go around the table one more time. If you hear any yapping in the background, that's Michelle's little mud outside the studio door making all that doggone racket. So, yeah, that's your dog. That is not my dog. Yeah, that's where, she used to say, well, let me tell you what your son did today, as if we weren't both in on it.
Let me tell you what your dog did today.
Yeah, so it's your dog out there, because I ain't got nothing to do with that little mutt. But anyway, is there anything you would like to add to all this? Mike and Lacie, why don't we do a little round robin? It looks like we've gotten through a lot of it looks like we got some other questions in here. Y'all hit us up at the website. And while they're going through here, if I can find any that some feel that are pressing, I'll go ahead and highlight them. But is there anything I'm forgetting here that you'd like to add, Mike, Lacie?
Go ahead.
Because you don't have anything else to say. No, I just want to express how much we feel like it was a need in this community. It wasn't like, let's go make another event. It was, let's go make an event that we would all want to go to and spend time with people and just build the community like people have been talking about, but actually go do it and give people an opportunity to do it. Like I said, you learn from people whenever you do stuff together and whenever you break bread with one another. And I think that is what is really needed to build that community. And then that's what we're really passionate about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right, go ahead. No, go ahead.
You also touched on it a little bit ago about the fear aspect of it. That yes, things are happening in our world, and we should do what we need to do to prepare for various things. But our society and our culture, we have lost a lot of skills throughout the years that were skills that were just an integral part of our human existence. And we're just trying to help encourage and equip others with those skills so that we get back to those things, that because all of us have lived mostly a life in this culture that is not sustainable. It's a lifestyle that is very foreign to most of mankind's history. No one has known what we have lived. And we just need to get back to that. back to living the lifestyles that truly matter, that truly connect us, to the creation and one another, and knowing where our food comes and all of that stuff. So we just hope that this event will provide some of that for everybody who attends.
Bam, I couldn't have said that any better myself. Tim, is there anything I'm leaving out here?
You guys said quite a bit. I'm just going to add, though, that we're just following Yah throughout all of this. We're not going to make everything sound so PC. This is us. This is us, genuine. Okay, we welcome all to come to our event, but we're not going to change ourselves. Okay, we're just unabashedly we're Christians. We follow Yah, and we didn't want to add to the noise. Okay, we wanted to create an event that was worthwhile coming, something that we would actually pay, something that we would actually want to go to. Okay, that's what I wanted just to stress upon, that give us some grace. This is going to be our inaugural event. Okay, so I'm sure there'll be a couple of things here or there, but we're going to do the very best that we can to make this the best value, the best bang for the buck for you. Okay, and we are going to take heed with a lot of your comments. So the comments that you're leaving right now, also feel free to reach out to us on our website. Again, that's homesteadersunited.com. Okay, that's where you can find all the details of the schedule, where we're having it, how to buy the tickets, where to stay, the lodging. All that information is on that website. So I'm super excited for this event, and I'm super excited just to be able to work with y'all. I mean, we're all friends, and we enjoy having a meal together. Now we just have a bigger meal with a lot more friends, and
somebody else doing the cooking.
That's right.
No, I tell you, folks, I can't overstate this enough. I'm hitting up probably the best ice cream joint I've ever had in my life. It's called Meadow Sweet Creamery. They have a fig and goat cheese ice cream. They got ice cream sandwiches. Each different sandwich has a different kind of cookie on it. Y'all, I'm going to walk out of the Pokemon when this is all said and done. Because I'm telling you what.
We'll have to roll you out of there.
Yeah, you can roll that Pikachu out of that. Yes, so this is definitely going to be something, y'all. I'm so excited to be a part of this. I'm so excited that many of you in the chat out here, and I'm sure the ones that are going to be hearing in the future on the podcast, this is the best thing we can put together. We found out all the holes, not criticizing the other festivals, but all the other things that we wanted to see done differently are done differently in this for the benefit of everybody else out there. It's a price point that is unbelievable. And I defy you to find me another festival out there that gives you more bang for the buck. No upcharging, no gimmicks, none of that stuff. So folks, I can't thank you enough for your attention tonight. Like I said, if you don't go, maybe send an emissary. I want to thank Mike and Lacie. I want to thank Tim and Sophie in the chat. And until next time, y'all, stay alert, stay alive.
They don't want an individual, just a carbon copy. You spitting that manicotti, yeah, I'm talking saucy. All they want to build is a prison world full of pet Tamagotchis. The kamikaze got me out of body like I'm Goku SS3. They want to push me to the center like a cell. They want to spin up at the center of the nexus, me. They want me to bother, but I'm a